Good evening. The air raid executed by the Israeli Air Force has a big influence on the civilians' lives since there are no shelters in these areas, and most of the areas in Lebanon are not equipped with shelters, and attacking civilians is not something allowed in wars. Uh, During the meantime, the Israeli escalation is continued on all the Lebanese areas and mainly on the Bekaa Valley and the southern suburbs of Beirut as well on the south. And those who are paying the price are the civilians in these areas. Every day we see, until today, we have around 2,500 killed out of the against civilians in Lebanon.
Sir, now you've to the hardships the civilians are now. Displacement within Lebanon has reached a lot of numbers, with approximately. Now, what are the immediate needs for the displaced families? How is Lebanon managing this sudden humanitarian demand?
Lebanon had difficulties in facing the demand of homes, of shelters, and of mass shelters. The means of Lebanon to face such a crisis are limited. Lebanon is a poor country since the crisis of 2019, the economic in 2019, and we are relying more and more on the international assistance, which are really shy until today. The President Miati, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, have visited UK, have visited Europe, and we had a conference in a summit in Paris to attract and to call for assistance for international assistance. We have got like $1 billion until today. We have received nothing of the international assistance. We have got $100 million from Emirates, and we have got a lot of materialistic assistance, not of financial assistance. But we need a lot of things to help people to live inside massive shelters. Now, massive shelters are schools and universities, and they are being put in rented homes or in hazardous homes everywhere in Lebanon. But we need more. We are more in need to help these people to eat, to be able to eat, to be able. We are expecting a heavy winter season, and in Lebanon, it is cold, and most of the displaced are residing in Mount Lebanon, which is a cold geographic zone in Lebanon.
Well, sir, other than the international assistance, there have been international discussions regarding the potential for a ceasefire. Now, in your opinion, what role could Lebanon's government, headed by Najib Mikati, play in these negotiations, if any, to achieve sustainable de-escalation?
To say the truth, Lebanon does not have a say in these negotiations. The negotiations are between Hezbollah, which has, they have approved that the one who negotiates is the Speaker of Parliament, Nabih Berri, who is fronting Hezbollah and no say. The Lebanese government has approved the execution of 1701, has approved a ceasefire, a quick ceasefire, and sending the Lebanese army to the south to take control of the south. But the negotiations with Israel through the United States or other mediators. Until today, we have no ceasefire. There is nothing serious regarding the ceasefire.
Professor Harb, now Lebanon is already facing a severe economic crisis, as you've mentioned, even before the Israeli ground operation. Now, how do you see the ongoing conflict affecting Lebanon's economy, especially with the increased strain on and infrastructure? Would you say that the international financial assistance would be enough to buoy the Lebanese economy, or is there something more that is still needed?
Lebanon's GDP in 2019 was 56 billion dollars. It had to $19 billion in 2024. We were expecting $24 billion in 2025 and 2026. The losses of the war until today are around $20 billion. Six of them died. 14 billions were indirect losses. For example, in the electricity sector, energy and electricity sector, the losses were $450 million. In the mobile sector, $76 billion. Lebanon is suffering. Lebanon cannot tolerate anymore these big losses. Lebanon is facing a total economic crash in the coming months. So what we expect, a total crash. Lebanon is unable to stabilize the economic situation. Until now, the Lebanese pound is stable, but until when, no one knows.
Well, given the increased involvement of the United States in the region, now do you think Lebanon could become a focal point for greater international intervention? What might that mean for Lebanon's future, even after the current conflict?
We need to know how this conflict will end. If it ends up in an international agreement, and we find an agreement which put an end for this war and find a solution for new conflicts, this will be great, and we will see an international intervention to make a peace process in the region. Otherwise, we will stay in wars, and war will continue. American intervention will come clear and will come back to Lebanon after the elections, but after elections, few months after the American elections. It's not before February or March 2025. So the solution in Lebanon, this international solution, is postponed until February or March 2025, which means the current crisis will continue for 3-4 coming months, and this will make Lebanon suffer economically and financially, as well on the humanitarian level.
Sir, the recent strikes have also affected Lebanon's healthcare infrastructure. Could you elaborate on the current condition of the hospital medical facilities, especially in areas directly impacted by the bombings? Does the health sector, is it getting enough share of the international assistance?
Until today, we are not getting enough share of the international assistance. Just like 5 to 6 hospitals in the south, they are out of service. In the southern suburbs of Beirut, we have like 2 big hospitals that are almost doing half of their services, and the full capacity of the hospitals is on service in areas like Beirut and Mount Lebanon. First aid activities are done in the south through the Red Cross and other health providers, para-health providers. As well, we are not suffering of a lack of medications and physicians, but the suffer is attacking as well ambulances and health caretakers in the south of Lebanon, as well of hospitals in the south of Lebanon.
Mm-hmm. Professor, if we look at the political spectrum now, how do you foresee Lebanon's political landscape evolving in the aftermath of this conflict? Could this situation lead to any shifts in alliances or leadership?
I'm afraid of an internal confrontation in the future. Lebanon, it is politically it is divided. Like half of the Lebanese, they do not approve, or maybe more than half of the Lebanese, they didn't approve the support war launched Israel, and the other half is supporting the war which Hezbollah launched against Israel in support of Gaza. I'm afraid of a political confrontation inside the country while we didn't elect yet. Electing a new president for Lebanon is essential at this moment to guarantee the political stability inside the country. What I believe that is that a political confrontation will be we will be having a political confrontation soon in Lebanon, and what I'm afraid of as well is having like Lebanese with UN and international UN resolutions and others against these resolutions. Mm-hmm. So I see that a political a dialogue or a somehow like a reconciliation regarding what's happening now should take place, keeping in mind that we started seeing kinds of internal like clashes. I don't want to say clashes. Some actions in the streets between Lebanese regarding the current war.
Mm-hmm. Then what message do you believe the Lebanese people want to convey to their own leadership and the international community as a whole at this critical time?
We should find an internal political agreement regarding what is happening, and we should push the international community to support Lebanon on the humanitarian level and to find a solution, a direct ceasefire, a very quick ceasefire on the southern front and regarding the air raids to stop the Israeli aggression against Lebanon. This is on one side, and second, to find a new resolution regarding or the ways how to execute 1701 without changing the 1701 measures for execution. Mm-hmm. To keep the UN peacekeepers activity in the south without changing the way of how to execute their mission.
Mm-hmm. One final question, Professor Harb. Now, what is your assessment? What are the prospects to achieve peace promptly in the region? Do you see any signs of hope amid this escalating crisis?
Until today, there are no signs of hope. All parties should respect the UN resolutions, the international resolutions. 1701 should be respected by Israel and should be respected by Hezbollah. All parties should respect the international resolutions. Otherwise, war will continue and no solutions will be available in the near future. At the meantime, we should have a ceasefire. The international bodies and the big states, superpowers, should work on a quick ceasefire in Lebanon. Otherwise, war will continue. We will see more displaced in Lebanon. The humanitarian issue will continue, and Lebanon will have a bigger and much heavier economic and financial crisis. We may lose Lebanon out of all this.